Welcome back. News and views with Hassan Logat. Uh, the occupying Israeli forces wrought havoc in Gaza yesterday, killing over 65 Palestinians, mostly women and children. And the airstrikes and ground operations have been, ceaseless. And journalists have also been killed. And this raising the number to over 50,000. In the shadow of all that, we have what's happening in the West Bank and Gaza. And people seem to forget that that is the quiet genocide that's taking place, often ignored by the media. But we are honored today to have a good friend of the station, a good personal friend. People think I've met this guy before. I've never. It's all online that we've met. But Osama Nazzal and I have been talking for a long time. I'm a regular guest on his show. He's a broadcaster. He speaks on a range of radio stations and TV stations in the world, and not a stranger to Salam Media. He studied literature, and for the first time, I have the honor of actually interviewing him. When we met the first time, I thought he was Osama Nazzal, the cartoonist. He said, "No, that's my cousin. That's how united Palestinians are. Everyone is a cousin." He also calls me cousin. But anyhow, welcome, cousin. Salaam alaikum.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, my brother Hassan.
How are you? Please, can you tell us? I see one of your comrades, our comrades, a journalist, was killed, and that the co director of the award winning uh, documentary was arrested, bullied, beaten up, etc. What's happening? When will peace come to you? I know you're calling from Jenin. Every time you tell me you're driving to Jenin, I worry what's happening. Anyhow, please, my brother, this is your forte. Tell us your story.
Thank you, Hassan, and good morning to all our viewers and listeners in South Africa and the world. What's happening in all of Palestine is the Israeli occupation regime genocidal campaign that is long ago, but now it is at its peak as Israel is escalating its genocidal crimes against the people in Gaza and at the same time here in the occupied West Bank and the attack on the Palestinian citizens of Massacres, Yatta, southern Hebron, and in the small Palestinian hamlet of Sosia and other Bedouin communities in that areas slotted for farmers and for shepherds. These areas are targeted by the Israeli occupation forces and the Israeli settlers, trying to uproot the Palestinian citizens and the Palestinian communities from these areas in order to expand the Zionist colonial settlements. And in this context really comes the detention of the Palestinian director of the film, Oscar award-winning film, No Other Land. But this is not an isolated issue from the comprehensive and all-out Israeli aggression against the people of Palestine. Today morning, Brother Hassan, Israeli forces stormed into the Palestinian town of Qalqilia in the north of the West Bank, and they bombed a house over the head of its owner, Bara Miski, and he was killed. This Palestinian youth was released from the Israeli occupation prisons only 3 months ago. So they released him and they killed him today. So this is the situation that all the people of Palestine are facing today. It is genocide, it is ethnic cleansing, it is something that it is difficult for the people outside Palestine to imagine.
Yeah, for us who follow Palestine every day, every hour, we we fear being numbed because those who can put a stop to this are not doing their part of the job, Osama. So we we may it may set in our heart, but people could become used to the killing machines, And how? What can you tell us to? Because the journalist, your comrade there, is a
Yeah,
real human being.
yes. This is the most dangerous, really. This is the most dangerous aspect of all the war. All the people are watching how the Israeli tanks or planes, Israeli murder machine, has been cutting Palestinian children and Palestinian women into pieces in the Gaza Strip. The crimes that we witnessed yesterday against the Palestinian journalists, how they assassinated two journalists deliberately and directly with full disregard to all the ethics and moralities of the profession of journalism and the right of the Palestinian journalists and other journalists to exercise this profession, and all that we hear and see from the international community between two brackets is condemnation only, nothing beyond.
Verbal,
Yes, Hassan.
just verbal condemnation.
Yeah, just verbal condemnation. We don't see any action to stop
Mm.
this genocidal crime. Hassan, talking about the crimes by the Israeli occupation against the Palestinian people, whether in Gaza, the West Bank, Jerusalem, is very difficult to express and describe by words. Crimes that we have never really imagined. You know, this is not the first Israeli aggression against the Palestinian people under its occupation. We all remember the crimes during the first Intifada in the 80s and during the second Intifada that started in 2000. Those crimes are difficult to compare to the crimes that we see now, as the Israeli extremist parties, the Israeli settlers, gangsters, and terrorist groups formed by the settlers here in the occupied West Bank. Hassan, they arrest or abduct the Palestinian boy or the Palestinian youth and force him to drink gasoline, and then they set him on fire. This is what happened with Muhammad Abu Khder in Jerusalem years ago. So this is the mentality of the Israeli settlers. The Israeli warplanes are targeting the sheltering tents in Gaza and set the Palestinian men and women and children on fire. So they are not killing the Palestinians by firing, by bullets these days. They set fire to the Palestinians as if we have real hell on earth. And the Palestinians are frustrated, really, and disappointed because we are all failed by the international community position and by our friend and our neighboring states who don't take any action to stop that.
Osama, sometimes when I speak to you off air, I can feel the tiredness, the pain you experience. And the right wing guys in the Netanyahu administration, and he's one of them, they are adherents of Jabotinsky, right? And uh, he wrote this essay in 1923
Mhm.
uh, that he says it's colonization of Palestine. And basically, his line was, right, Zev Jabotinsky, is that yes, there should be Palestinians and Arabs, whatever, they can live there, but they must never be the majority, right? I do not believe that they will be hurt, except for those who were born blind. They realized long ago that it's utterly impossible to obtain a voluntary consent of the Palestinian Arabs for converting Palestine from an Arab country into a country with a Jewish majority. So it seemed that Netanyahu and others, he's the right wing. We always talk about the right wing as being the other guys.
Yeah.
This is very inspirational on him and his father. In this essay, The Iron Wall, they basically speak about these strategies that yes, you can have Palestinians, but they must never be a majority. They must just be a small number. This is the ethnic cleansing that you speak of. This is the genocide that is needed.
That Benjamin Netanyahu and all the members of his current government are coming from the school of Jabotinsky and the extremist Zionists who don't want to see any Palestinian, not a few Palestinians. They don't want to see any Palestinian in Palestine. And what they have written about and the strategies that they drafted before are being implemented today by Netanyahu's government, because the Israeli officials like the Minister of War Katz, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Home Security, they all state all the time that they don't want the Palestinians of Gaza to stay in Gaza. And you must have heard, Hassan, of the new committee or the new agency that they established in order to facilitate the departure of the Palestinian people. They call it departure, but it is a forced evacuation of the
That's right.
Palestinian people. This expulsion of the Palestinian people. And what they are doing now in Gaza is to force the Palestinians out. Now, when Egypt refused to open the crossing for facilitating the expulsion of the people of Gaza, Israel bypassed that and started this agency, and they want the Palestinians to leave through the Israeli territory. This is what they apply in Gaza. In the West Bank, the unemployment rate is increasing. The West Bank is cut into small enclaves. The economic situation is collapsing completely, and they are pressing the Palestinian citizens of the West Bank and East Jerusalem to leave under the slogan of voluntary departure. But in principle, it is also for evacuation, because when you have no means of livelihood, then what are you going to think of other than finding an opportunity for better life in another place? This is what Israel is acting for, and this is what Israel is committing its crimes against the Palestinians for. We have more than 50,000 Palestinians displaced from their homes in northern occupied West Bank, from Jenin and Tulkarem, and they started this process in the refugee camps, and they are expanding it to their cities themselves. As just yesterday, they forced hundreds of Palestinians of the city of Tulkarem to leave their apartments. So that is the policy of the Zionist regime, and it is implementing it.
Yeah. So yeah, we're about to close off. Here's my question to you. So for the listeners, please read The Iron Wall. Uh, it's an essay by Zev Jabotinsky, a Russian. It was written originally in Russian Jew, and they had the strategy already in 1923, which the adherents of this faction of Zionism has been implementing. Osama, my question to you, South Africa has been under a lot of pressure to drop the case. Not that it matters anywhere, because so many others have joined, even Europeans have joined the case against Israel at the ICJ. But South Africa, they are fomenting divisions in our country, telling us they're dropping this, we won't have jobs, we won't get this support, etc. What do you think South Africans must do to support their government and the cause for Palestine? It's your last
Uh,
question.
First of all, every Palestinian citizen, from the Palestinian children to the Palestinian elderly, are appreciative, and they always express their gratitude to their brothers, the people, and the government of South Africa, because South Africa was the only single state in the world that dared and filed a lawsuit against the Israeli occupation at the ICJ. So this position from South Africa will never be forgotten. And this is not strange to South Africa, because we all as Palestinians understand and appreciate and feel pride of our historical relationship with South Africa. And we don't differentiate between our late leader, Yasser Arafat, and your late leader, Nelson Mandela, who both spent all of their life fighting for the freedom and for the justice of their peoples. So when we saw yesterday the American administration getting the South Africa ambassador, Mr. Rasul, out of Washington.
Yeah.
We felt sad for that, but we were consoled when we saw the great people of South Africa giving warm welcome to their ambassador who fought for humanity, for justice, and for human rights. So South Africa has a lot to do because what it does is done on the basis of its faith in humanity and its faith in the right of all the peoples on this planet to freedom and
Thank you. Thank you, my brother. So sorry to cut you. We've got a final interview. Osama, I love and trust in you. Stay safe.
thank
Uh, we can't have more humans dying, and we can't have any journalists dying because they tell us the story as well.
thank
Shukran for the interview.
salam salam thank
Salam,
you.
salam, brother. Thank you very much.